Hi everyone, my name is Tracey Jeffery and I'm here in Tracey's Farmhouse kitchen, and today I am going to do a very easy basic scone recipe that produce the fluffiest scones and lovely in texture and just generally very tasty and easy to make. So in terms of what we're using for this, we're working with self-raising flour. Now, I don't weigh or measure anything. Having said all that, the measurements and so on will be in the recipe, but I'm using about 250 grams of self-raising flour, right? So that's basically about a couple of handfuls of self-raising flour. So in that goes, you want a teaspoonful of baking powder, and so just be sure and be careful to just get a teaspoonful. The problem with the baking powder is if you put in more than that, you will kind of taste it. So it's not a great taste to have. Then of course, necessary ingredient, some castor sugar. And I'm putting in 3 good heaped tablespoons of castor sugar, okay? We do like a wee bit of sweetness there. So that's your castor sugar, your baking powder and your self-raising flour. And then I'm going to add some dried fruit. So I'm adding currants and sultanas here. Now again, you could add, almonds to it. You could have like cut up pear and almond scones. There's lots of different variations, but I have to say it's hard to beat a nice fruit scone. So they're all in your bowl. I didn't sieve anything, by the way, as you've noticed. And then what I'm going to do is just make sure that I mix all of my dry ingredients really thoroughly. And the other thing you can do just at this stage is just to get a bit of air into it. Now, you've done that, you've mixed all your dry ingredients. I'm then going to add about 60 grams of butter. Very often in the recipe, they ask you to add chilled butter, hard butter. I'm saying the opposite. I go for lovely soft butter because I actually find that is much easier for me to turn into a nice kind of crumbly mixture if it's nice and soft. I think you have to work a lot harder if your butter's rock hard. It does take a bit of work. And how I turn this to crumbs is just really rub it into my hands, and the friction does the work for me. Okay, so I'm just going to show you that once I've got that all done. So I'm pretty happy that the butter is nicely kind of mixed in there, okay? And it's kind of, you can see the yellow of the butter coming through, and they're basically like, as they say, fine breadcrumbs, okay? So there's my mixture all ready to go. And at this stage then, I'm going to add some buttermilk. So the buttermilk, you could, if you want to add milk instead of buttermilk, but I just love the flavour that this gives you. And I would have to say probably nearly everything we cook here in Tracey's Farmhouse kitchen for our traditional bread making is all about the buttermilk. So I'm going to crack a nice free-range egg into that. So in it goes, and then take your fork and give it a good whisk, okay, or a good kind of mixing around there. So again, if you've mixed thoroughly, it'll be a lovely yellowy colour, okay? And then just once you've done that, just immediately add that to your mixture, okay? And if you can, maybe reserve a little bit to brush the scones with at the end, but don't worry if you can't do that, because you can do that with milk anyway. So I'm mixing all of this in to my dry mixture. And the whole thing about making scones is not overworking your dough, okay? It's definitely the case that the more you work it, the less it's going to rise for you. So I am reasonably happy that that is all mixed in. Just going to show you now, kind of. So you can see it's a nice kind of like buttery yellow colour. So now we're going to just sprinkle a little bit of flour on the surface. Don't go too mad there, because if you put a lot of flour on the table, you'll find that it's in your scones, and you don't want it just baking the scones with a layer of flour on top. Okay, so I've just tipped my dough out onto the table, and I'm just going to kind of try and bring it together as best I can without working it too much, okay? And once I've done that, I then just take my rolling pin and just don't go too mad with the rolling pin. Just gently roll it out, because you do want these scones to be a good 1.5 inches thick in depth, okay? So just roll it out kind of to about that depth there, okay? And then, so you can see that that is a good thick kind of depth for the scones, and that is definitely something you want to make sure that you have. And then I'm going to take my cutter and I'm just going to have a little bit more flour on the table, because I want to kind of use that flour to make sure the cutter doesn't start to really stick in the dough. And then just dig your cutter right down. Don't give in to the temptation to twist it a lot. Just put it straight in and then just out onto your hand, shake any excess flour off. And then I'm just putting these onto a floured tray. So I just put a little bit of butter on that tray, spread it around, and then sprinkle some flour on it, okay? So I'm just gonna set my scones into the tray, and each time I'm just giving it a wee bit of a flouring, okay? And then again, just shaking off any excess flour. So you're doing that for whatever number of scones you get out of it. Obviously, if I was doing this for the likes of, say, afternoon tea or whatever, I would do the miniature scones, because they do look gorgeous, I have to say, just the little bite-sized scones. And they just look very, very nice on the plate. So you're just getting as many as you can out of that amount of dough, okay? And once I've done that, I'm then going to bring the dough together and try and get the last couple. So out of this amount of dough that I have, I've got about 8 scones, small amount of scones, just double up the quantity to get a whole lot more scones. So I'll probably get another maybe 2 out of this, right? So I'm going to take this last wee bit here and I'm just going to kind of roll it into one, because there's no point in trying to cut a shape out of it. Okay, that's going to be a big one. Okay, and there we go. We have our 6 scones there, sorry, 9 scones. And then just take your, get a wee drop of milk and pour it in here to your buttermilk mixture and your egg mixture. And then just gently brush the top of the scones. Don't, resist the temptation again to brush them all the way down the side or to pour the milk over them, because the look of them, they won't look as good, okay? You just want the kind of the glossy bit to be on top of the scones, okay? So I've just brushed all of those scones there, and then what I'm going to do is I'm putting them in a hot oven. So I'm putting them in at about 180 for about 15 to 20 minutes, okay? So in they go, and oh sorry, one last thing I forgot. I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of demerara on the top of them, and this I find just gives them a lovely little kind of like a crunchy texture, and apart from anything else, it looks pleasing as well. So just a little bit of demerara on each one, and in they go into the oven, okay, for about 15 to 20 minutes until they're a nice golden brown on top. Okay, that should be the scones ready, so let's have a wee look and see how we're getting on. Okay, so here they are, looking nice and golden and cooked. So I'm just I like to do them like this, close together, because they can be torn apart then, and they're nice and soft in the middle. And they're a lovely golden brown colour. If you see at the bottom there, they're nice and well done on the bottom. Okay, just show you those as well. So there they are, and there they are on top. And I'm just going to take them all and separate them and set them up, and hopefully very soon we'll enjoy those with a bit of lovely hand-rolled Abernethy butter and my homemade jam. There you have it, our quick and easy homemade scones. We had 9 to start with. We're missing a few at this stage, not looking at any cameramen in particular. So that was a very easy recipe, and On the next video in the Amazing Food and Drink channel, I will be making homemade traditional Northern Irish soda bread. So thanks very much for watching.